What happened? To the East Jamaica Conference online classroom. We are really happy to have you, and I hope that this will be an exciting 1 hour of teaching. Now, before I do anything else, I must tell you my name. My name is Rollin Richardson, and I will be doing mathematics with you today. But before I start, I am going to sanitize. Students, even if you're at home and you didn't go anywhere, it is very important that you sanitize. It is really, really important. And then, remember, it will take a little time, 20 seconds or more, I would say. You make sure you get the sanitization liquid all over your hands to make sure that your hands are clean. Because guess what? I may be touching my face in the process. So I have to make them clean. All right, so today we're going to be looking at fractions. Right? And before we look at that though, we have to invite the presence of the Lord with us. Let us pray. Father, we are so grateful to you for allowing us to be here, even during this time of crisis. We are thankful for this opportunity where we can still link and communicate with our children, even while they're at home. Lord, we ask that as you use us as the medium through which they will be educated, they will be blessed. We ask, God, that you will help us so to do, and to do it with dignity, to do it with everything that is in us. Use me now, I pray, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, my students. So, we're going to be looking at fractions. And I must do a little house duty before. If there are any activities that you would see come up on the PowerPoint that you are not able to complete or to do presently, I can always tell you, you could go back to the EJC website, you could find it, do it, and then you may not want to send it to me, but you have your teachers. Send it to them, and they will assist you. Right? Any activities that you would see come up on the PowerPoint that you are not able to complete or to do. All right, so let us move to the first PowerPoint. We're moving to the first PowerPoint. And as we look at fractions, what I want you to understand is that I am going to take it from the simplest or the first stage right up to where you are able to follow and understand exactly what is happening with fractions. And I must tell you, even though you're at the primary or prep school level, one of the very first questions that come on the CSEC paper has to do with fractions. So it is important that we understand this and understand it well. So what is fraction? What is a fraction? All right. If you're looking at the PowerPoint, you will be seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures. And from this picture, I am going to be telling you a story. There is a teacher at school, Miss Gordon, who celebrated her birthday in January. So guess what? She had some lovely children. They came together, pulled together, saved, and they bought her a cake for her birthday. Now, when Mrs. Gordon got the cake, she decided that she was going to share the cake. And guess what? I got the first big chunk of cake that you're looking at, that piece that was taken out, to share for my students. I took the cake, went to my class. Of course, I had them sanitized and everything like that. And I started sharing the cake. So I cut it in slices and I was handing it out. But I noticed something. There was a little boy by the name of Josiah who, when he got his cake, ran over to the kindergarten department to share his cake with his brother. And I thought, whoa, that was so good. And that reminded me what a fraction is. For those children who love to share, you will love fractions, because fraction is about sharing. It is about sharing. So, if we just look back at the picture for a little bit, we had in the first picture a whole cake. Then that portion that you see there was what Mrs. Gordon had left when she gave me. The third picture that you see in there, that was my portion. And that was Josiah sharing his cake with his little brother. So, this brought me to the definition of fractions. And I am going to tell you that fraction is about sharing. Fraction is a part of something. Sometimes we have the habit of saying fraction is a part of a whole. It's not. It may be a part of a whole, but in essence it is part of something. Because I shared my cake that wasn't a whole cake with my class. And so, my definition for fraction is that fraction is a part of something. The next thing we're going to look at quickly is parts of a fraction. Parts of a fraction. And I just want you to come to the board with me for a while. I want you to come to the board with me for a while. Fraction is a part of something. And then, because we say it is a part, we are going to look at the parts of a fraction now. You see, Jesus was passing through the borders of Samaria and Galilee when he came upon 10 persons. How did he came upon those 10 persons? He heard them calling out his name, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. When he looked, it was 10 persons. As a matter of fact, they were not normal persons, so to speak. These were 10 lepers. Yes. And so when Jesus went to them, all they asked of Jesus is if he could heal them. Jesus sent them and he said to them, listen, go show yourself to the priest. And they got up and they left. By the time they got to the priest, all 10 of them, see, all 10. So let me put the big 10 there. All 10 of them were healed. All 10 were healed. Now, when they realized that they were healed, one of the leper out of the 10, one out of the 10 went back to give thanks to Jesus for what he did. One out of the 10. So guess what? I realized that this story in Luke chapter 17 was actually speaking about fractions, because one out of the 10 came to give thanks. If one out of the 10 came, how many didn't come back? It would have been 9. Was it 9 persons that Jesus healed? No, it was 9 out of 10. And here we have what we call fractions. Now, I must now tell you that the 10 persons who were healed, this is the total amount that were healed, the 10. And here I put the 10 here because 1 out of the 10 came back to give Jesus thanks. So the 10 here is showing that this is the total amount. The total amount. Total amount. The 10 was the total amount. 1 came back. So this was 1 out of the 10. It is telling me then, it is telling me that 1 out of the 10 that came back, this is showing me in the fraction that one part was being taken out. One part was being taken out or identified. Jesus identified one person that came back to give thanks. Now, let's look at this. The total amount that came, the 10, is always at the bottom of the fraction. It is seen as the bottom number. The bottom number. And there is a special name for this bottom number. It's called the denominator. And I am sure my students out there can spell. So if I'm spelling it wrong, I am sure, don't laugh, I make mistakes too. Denominator. So the total amount that you have in the first place is called a denominator. The amount that is picked out or identified, so this is picked out or identified, is now the numerator, or what you would see as the top number. So it is the numerator. Numerator. So we have now looked at, or we could say, top, let me just put this in bracket, top number. So the top number is the numerator, while the bottom number is known as the denominator. So here we have the parts of our fraction. The top part, or the top number, is the numerator. The bottom part, or the bottom number, is the denominator. So, we can now move along. And I must tell you though, that there are many things. Or I could use, for example, a sheet of paper. A sheet of paper, and I could do what we call a folding technique, which you will see later, to better show you what a fraction is, or the parts of a fraction. So this is basically saying 1 out of 10. So we are 10 in all, and this is 1 that was picked out of the 10, or 1 that was identified, or 1 that was chosen out of the 10. So this 1 leper came back, 1 out of the 10 came back to give thanks. And over here, 9 out of the 10 did not come to give thanks. We move on. And if you should look at the PowerPoint, you will see a fraction has 2 parts, a top number and a bottom number. The top number is the bottom number, is the total parts that is in something. This is called the denominator. See it here? The denominator. And the top number is what is given away or what is left. This is called the numerator. So we see here. Before we go further, we are going to look at something. And I'm going to be asking children, whatever I'm going to ask you now, I may not know the definite answer, but I am sure I can come up with something. Did you know feature? Who came up with the first fraction? Who came up with the first fraction? Who came up with the first fraction? I hope I can take this off quickly. Who came up with the first fraction? I'd love to know. So if my students want to talk back, if you want to talk back to me, fine. I love that. Where did the first fraction came from? As I said before, I am not certain. But I can tell you one thing. I found the first fraction in a book I was reading. And the book that I'm talking about is called the Bible. You see, God, in creating the world, it says God created the heavens and the earth in what? 6 days? And then there was a seventh day. And he rested on that day. So in essence, we know of a cycle of a 7-day week. So we start at Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All right. But then God gave us an instruction when he made the 7th day. He said that that is the day we should rest. And he called that the Sabbath. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sabbath, we should rest. No, that day is also used for worshiping. One day he gave us to rest out of the 7 days. And by reading, I realized that the Bible also spoke of fractions, because we are given 1 day to rest from all our work out of the 7 days. So I believe, this is my belief now, I am not going to tell anybody that you should believe me, but I believe that fraction was first mentioned in the Bible during the time of creation. There are other examples from the Bible. If you remember the story of the virgin, there were 10 of them. 10. And out of the 10, 5 were wise and were let in. So 5 out of the 10 were wise and were let in. This is fraction. And then when we look, 5 were foolish. 5 out of the 10 were foolish and were shut out. I know that my students out there are wise students. And I would want to be among the 5 wise out of the 10. So this is something else, somewhere else where I picked up that fraction has been mentioned in the Bible. At this time, we're going to go to the next PowerPoint. And we are going to now look at the types of fractions that we have. The types of fractions we have. I'm sure some of you would know, some of you may not remember, but it is important that we go through them as well. The types of fractions. And as a matter of fact, I must tell you that we have 3 that we are really going to zoom into, the 3 types of fractions. And I'm just going to number them. 1. The first one is proper. Proper fraction. proper fraction. What is that about? What is that about? I normally tell my children at school that when God made us, He did not put our heads where our feet were, because that would cause a problem. He made us, and the Bible says we were perfectly and wonderfully made. And that is where our heads are, where they are. My head is where it is because God made me perfect. Wonderful. So, when we talk about proper fractions, we're looking at something that is similar. Our head, my head is not as big as my upper body. Right? So, in looking at proper fractions, what we are saying is that the top number, which is the numerator, is always smaller in value than the number at the bottom, which is the denominator. Let me give you a quick example. So, we spoke about the 10 virgins. I am going to be talking to you now. I'm going to be using the 5 wise virgins. So there were 5 wise out of the 10 in all. Because I want to see us as wise. So look here now. The 5 out of the 10. The top number is of less value than the bottom number. So the numerator is smaller than the denominator. And that is what we call a proper fraction, where the numerator is smaller in value than the denominator. I hope we get that clear. This is what we call proper fraction. So we are going to move to the next one, number 2. Number 2, we are going to move to that one. Because I'm getting somewhere. In order to understand and to interpret fractions and scenarios that include fractions, you must understand well what fractions are. And you must know what you're dealing with when you come upon fraction. So the next one that we are looking at now is what we call improper. So we have proper, now we have improper fraction. If we use the word proper first and we're using improper now, that in itself is suggesting something. It is suggesting that it cannot be the same as what we discussed before. So guess what? An improper fraction is a fraction where the top number, let me use 3 for example. The top number, the numerator, is greater or more than the denominator. So let me use 2 there. So the top number is greater or more than the bottom number. The numerator is more than the denominator. That is what we call an improper fraction. That is what we call an improper fraction. I hope you're following. And we, as I said before, we are getting somewhere. So this is what an improper fraction is. Then we go to the third one. Third and final one. And as we go to that one, persons have different names for that one. Some people call it mixed fraction. Mixed fraction. Some persons call it mixed number. Okay, so mixed number fraction. So I am going to just stick with this one now, for now. And I'm going to say this is mixed fraction. Now what is a mixed fraction? I can tell you this, and this is something that you need to remember. a mixed fraction is a proper fraction. So let me put back the 5 wise virgins here. 5 out of 10. It's a proper fraction that is combined with a whole number. But listen to me now. We could not put the whole number there. So probably I should change my statement. It is a whole number. So let me put 2 here. That is that combines with a proper fraction. I want you to notice something. If this is my whole number, then it is important that the proper fraction that combines with this whole number takes up the same space as the whole number. This is important. 2, or let me use back my wise virgins, 5 out of 10. This is what we're looking at. So this is what we call a mixed fraction. It has a whole number and a proper fraction. I hope you're following and I hope you're understanding thus far. So, we are coming close to where we will work fractions out and all of that. We will work fractions out. So, if we go back to the PowerPoint, you will see examples. Once we go back to the PowerPoint, you will see examples of fractions. So for a proper fraction, we would have 2 over 3. And I explained that to you already. This is where the numerator, or the top number, is less than the denominator, which is the bottom number. For the improper fraction, this is where the numerator, or the top number, is more than the denominator, or the bottom number. And we have an example, 6 out of 5. All right, and then the mixed fraction is 1 and 3 out of 5. This is where a whole number is combined with a proper fraction. So, this is some important note too. All improper fractions can be changed or converted to mixed fraction. All improper fraction can be changed or converted to mixed fractions. And the opposite is also true. All mixed fractions can be changed or converted to improper fractions. And here I have some activities where you're going to be changing, or we can change improper fraction to mixed fraction. And we are going to look at that quickly. For example, let me just go back to the board. For example, so we are looking at changing improper fractions to mixed fraction. So we looked at an example, 3 out of 2. This is an improper fraction, 3 out of 2. How do we change this now to a mixed fraction? It is simple division. And I am going to try to make it the simplest way possible. What this is asking now, how many times can I get 2 out of 3? So let me just put these here. So here I have my 3. How many times or how many groups of 2 can I get out of this 3? So let me do. So I took out the first group of 2. Can I take out any more? No, I can't. So it means that I got one group of 2. And then I have one single one left. So this is where I'm going to draw my line from a fraction now. I have one single one left, and the one that I have left would be out of 2, because this is the denominator and it should remain as the denominator. So here I just changed an improper fraction to a mixed fraction. How many times can I get 2 out of 3? 1 time. And I have a remainder of 1 that I put here and put it over the denominator. Now let me take out this. Just remember this though. This is 3 out of 2, so let's just remember that. Now, if you were given this in the first place, let me take out everything else. This is now a mixed fraction. How would you change a mixed fraction to an improper fraction? I am just going to write this here. So it's 1.5, or 1 and 1 over 2. Let me show you something now. I simply say you draw a line. I am drawing a line from the denominator to the whole number. And I am going to put a special sign there. This is a multiplication sign. And then I am going to draw a line from the numerator also to the whole number. To the whole number. And then I am going to put a sign here that says plus. So we are going to multiply 2 by 1, and the answer that we would get, so the line that I should really draw is right here, at the top here, where I will have that circle. That is where I should draw the line. So if we say 2 times 1, 2 multiplied by 1 gives you 2. So I put my 2 in that circle. And then if I go that way, so I have the arrows all mixed up here. I go that way. 2 plus 1. I am going to go that way now with my arrow still. And I'll get the equal sign there. 2 plus 1 would give me 3 out of the 2. And that is where I would now get my improper fraction from the mixed fraction that you saw earlier. So let's run this again. 2 multiplied by 1 would give me 2 plus 1, which is the numerator, would now be equal to 3, and I put back my denominator. So that would be 3 out of 2. So that is how we change an improper fraction to mixed number, and then we change back the mixed number to improper fraction. All right? Let me tell you something. Before we get into the whole meat of the matter of working with fractions and the different mathematical signs and all of that, there is something else that we need to look at. We need to look at something else. And it is called, a lot of time we call it this. The LCM. LCM. And by saying LCM, we mean least common multiple. The least common multiple. The least common multiple. I believe my hands are getting a little sweaty, so it means that it's time to sanitize again. And I'm going to do that quickly. It is important that you do that. And I'm going to take my 20 seconds to make sure it gets in the right places. And children at home, make sure you sanitize. We are in a crisis, and so it is important that you sanitize. All right. So we are looking at the LCM. And what does this mean? The LCM is, the L means least, the C, common, and the m multiples. Because in order to work and to manipulate fractions, we must know how to identify LCM. That is important. So, how then do we find the LCM for a set of numbers or a set of denominators? Because when we are finding LCM in fractions, we are dealing with the denominators. So suppose I am asked to find the LCM of 2, 3, and 4. I am going to look over here, right? And the first thing that I need to do is to find the multiples of each of these. To find some multiples. So we are given 2, 3, 4 to find the LCM. We're going to find multiples, the first multiples. So we go with the first number, or the first numeral, 2. So we go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and we can go on and on. Okay? So these are multiples. It's like saying your 2 times table. So these are multiples. Then we go to 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and we could go on. And then we do the same thing for 4. So it would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and so on. No, so we just did the multiples. What we are going to look at now is the number that is the numbers that are common in each of them. And when we say common, it comes in all of them. So you can find the same number in all of them. So I'm looking. All right. Let me just try and do something. So we find 12 here, 12 here, 12 there. Is there anything else that we can find in there? Not no. If we had gone further, I'm sure we would have found more. All right? So I probably should go a little bit further with this so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So let me just extend the multiples of 2 a little bit more. So that would be 20, 22, 24, 26, and so on. So, what we are going to be doing now, we are going to see if there are any more numbers that are there that are in all of them. We go 24, 24, 24. And I'm sure if we had gone further on, we would have got more numbers that are the same. But we now look at the M in LCM for the multiples. Then we look at C, what is common. What is common in all of them. So you find this, that's common, and then you find this, that is common. You find the 12 that is common, and then the 24 that is common. Now the L, which means the least, you're going to find the number that is smallest, because least has to do with the less. So it is less in terms of value, the smallest one that you can find in all of them. Here I have 12 and 24 that is found in all of them. So the LCM for 2, 3, and 4 would be 12, because that is the smallest number that is found in all of them. The smallest number that is found in all of them. That is what we call LCM. So, if I hope that you are able to understand. And if you go to the PowerPoint, I have an activity to find the LCM for each set of numbers. And I want to see if students who have joined us online can get the answer for each of these. Find the LCM of each set of numbers. And in A you have 3, 4, 6. In B you have 2, 5, 10. And C you have 3, 6, 9. All right? So I am going to be looking out to see the persons who will come up with these quickly. All right. Okay, so whilst I am sure persons would have taken down those, we can look back at them, but we want to just move on quickly. And since we are now able to find the LCM, we are now able to identify the types of fractions, we are now going to get into the business of working with fractions. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of fractions. All right? And so
15 minutes, yes, sir?
15, okay. All right. So we are going to look at addition. And we are going to do that quickly, addition of fractions. And I want us to just, we're going to look at the addition with the same denominator. So let's say we have 2 out of 5 plus 1 out of 5. Here we have 2 out of 5 plus 1 out of 5. The simple thing to do, or you would have told most times, is that once the denominators are the same, you just add the numerator. But what I tend to find out though, is that sometimes this poses problem to some children. I'm not saying you know. Sometimes what happens is that when the denominators are different, they tend to add as well. And then they get confused with how they should carry which denominator they should carry over and all of that. And then the whole matter of multiplication of decimal fractions would come in, and that too through a different spin or a different look. But the safest way to do is to make sure you find a denominator. It doesn't matter if they are the same, but that is the safest. I'm giving you a safe way to to do that. You find the denominator. And we could go the denominator. They are the same denominator, so it's safe to put back this. And then all we are going to ask ourselves now, how many times can we get 5 out of 5? So the denominators, you're going to see how many times you can get them out of the LCM that is here. How many times can you get 5 out of 5? 1 time. So what do I do with my 1? I put it beside the numerator with a multiplication sign. As a matter of fact, I can put my multiplication sign there before. I can put my multiplication sign there before. There, I tell children, once you get them, put back the signs, put your equal, do that, put back your LCM or the LCM. Just put it back before you work anything else. So you find how many times you get 5 out of 5? 1 time. So you put it there. See, I put my multiplier sign there already. How many times can I get 5 out of this 5? 1 time. What do I do now? I multiply. 1 times 2, 2. 1 times 1, 1. And then we do the addition. 2 plus 1, 3. And we get 3 out of 5. That is a simple way of doing it, and a safe way too. So we are going to move on quickly because we have covered the important things. We are going to look now at adding fractions with different denominators. So here I'm going to use, let's say 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. Or let me just use back this to make it simple. 2 out of 5 plus 1 out of 4. Now, let's do the necessary things. We give ourselves some space in between here. We draw a line there. So you can skip a line in your book. You put back your plus sign, you put your equal sign, you draw your line. And I can put my multiplication signs up here. Now, we are going to find the LCM for 5 and 4. And if we do the process that I showed you earlier on, you will realize that 20 becomes the LCM. 20 becomes the LCM. You now would say, how many times can I get 5 out of 20? That would be 4 times. So I put the 4 up there. You notice where I put the 4? Up here. How many times can I get 4 out of 20? 5 times. So I put the 5 up here. Now I have to figure these out. Work these out. 4 times 2, 8. 5 times 1, 5. 8 plus 5, 13. And I put back my LCM. So I would get 13 over 20. So that is basically what that for addition of fractions. Now, if you're doing subtraction of fractions, the only thing that would change is the signs. So you would change, if this was takeaway, you put the takeaway, and then when you get here, you do the same principles. When you get here, 8 take away 5, and you would get 3 over 20. So I hope you're following. Time is really upon us. Then we have to get into the matter now of multiplication of fractions. And I'm going to jump into one with a mixed fraction. So when you're doing multiplication of fractions, there are certain steps that you should follow. You go to it will be on the PowerPoint. In saying multiplying fractions, you must follow a CCMR rule. You must convert or change, you must cancel, you must multiply, and then you reduce. And that is before you have to do all of those before you can get your answer. You must convert, you must cancel, you must multiply before you can and reduce before you can get your answer. So let me show you on the board now what exactly I'm talking about. So let me just put this here. The CCMR rule. Convert or change, cancel, multiply, reduce. Let's go to a multiplication problem now. So we have 1 and 2 over 3 multiplied by 2 2 over 3. Let's look at that. I'm just choosing something randomly. Let's look at that. The first thing we have to do is to convert or change, because we have a proper fraction and we have a mixed fraction. We have a whole number that is included. So let me just show you what we need to do. Remember, I show you to change mixed fraction to improper fraction. It would be 3 times 1 would give you 3, plus 2 would give you 5. But you put it back over the 3, over that denominator, because, so here you turn it, you convert it into an improper fraction. You put back your multiply, you put your 2 over 3. The next C, you look if there is anything that is there that can be cancelled without leaving a remainder, that is. There is nothing. If you check this way, you can cancel this way, that way, or this way. There is nothing there to be cancelled. So it means that we would have moved on to the next step, which is to multiply. And so we multiply 3 3s, 9, and then we go 5 2s, 10. This is where now we look at reducing, because here we get an improper fraction. So we must reduce this or change. There is nothing there that can be cancelled without leaving a remainder. But we notice here that the numerator is greater than the denominator. So we have to say now, how many times can we get 9 out of 10? 1 time. And we will have a remainder of 1 that is left. And we put that over the 9. And there we get our answer. So until we check to see if we can convert or change, if there's anything to cancel, if there's any, then we multiply. If there's anything to reduce, then that is when we will get our answer. That is for multiplication. I should have shown you how to do addition with whole number, because that too can be difficult. But we will see how much we can do in terms of that. There is a scenario though that I want to give, because we would have covered everything. And for the division of fractions, let's say 2 over 6 divided by 1 over 3. So we are looking at division quickly. The rules are similar. The rules are similar. The rules are similar. So in doing division, we first have to convert or change. If needed, then we have to invert a fraction. So when we say invert a fraction, and the fraction that you're inverting is the one you're dividing by. So this is say 2 over 6 divided by 1 over 3. It means that we should invert this. And by saying that, we are going to turn it upside down. So we are going to put 2 out of 6. We are going to turn this upside down. There is one rule that we must follow to turn this upside down. We have to change this sign to a multiplication sign. Then we turn this upside down, putting 3 over 1. That is what we mean by invert. Then we follow the same rules again. See if there is anything to cancel. There are things we can cancel, because 3 can go into 6 without leaving a remainder. 3 into 3, 1. 3 into 6, 2 times. There is nothing else to cancel. So it would be, we now multiply 2 ones 2 over 2 ones 2. Now we can reduce, because these are the same. 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 2, 1. The same thing that we use to go into this, we have to use it to go into that in reducing. And so our answer would be 1. That is how it is for the division of fraction. I am just going to give you one. If you turn to the screen, to the PowerPoint, there is a problem there that you can try to solve. It says a plot of rectangular shaped land measuring 9,600 meters square was given to 3 farmers for animal rearing. The first farmer, Brown, was given a quarter of the land. A quarter of the land. The second farmer, Jones, was given 3/4 of the remainder of the land. The third farmer, Grant, was given what was left. Determine the amount of land each farmer got. So, the total land was 9,600 meters square, or square meter. And it says the first farmer was given a quarter of the land. A quarter of the land. Here we are looking now. A quarter, and I must tell you when it says a quarter of 9,600 meters square, of in mathematics would suggest that we are multiplying. So it would be a quarter multiplied by 9,600 meter squared. Now, and we can, in order to balance this out, we can put this over 1 to show that our multiplication is balanced. We are using fractions on both sides. Now remember, we said the rule was to convert and then what? Cancel. So here we can cancel. We can say 4 into 4 goes 1 time, 4 into 96, or we can do it bit by bit. 4 into 4 would go 1 time, we can get 4 of 4 1 time. We can get 4 of 9 2 times with a remainder of 1 that we put there. This now becomes 16. And now we can say 4 out of 16. How many times can we get 4 out of 16? That would be 4 times. And then we would have the zeros putting back there. This is now 2,400 meter square. Now the second part says determine the amount of land each farmer got. So if the first farmer, Brown, so we know what Brown got. Brown got 2,400 meter square. How are we going to find the others? We know the first thing we have to do is to take out Brown's portion out of this, which is 2,400 meter square. We take it out. So we put back our meter square, 0 from 0, 0 from 0 is 0. 6 take away 4, we have 2. And 9 take away 2, we have 7. So we have 7,200 meters square. 7,200 meters square. It says the second farmer, Jones, was given 3/4 of the remainder of the land. One word that is there that is important is remainder. The remainder. Farmer Jones was given 3/4 of the remainder. So after Farmer Brown got his, this was what was left. Right? This is what was left. So we are now going to have to find, because it says of the remainder, we are now going to have to find 3/4 of, and we say multiply for of, 7,200 meter square. All right? So we still have to balance this into a fraction, so we put it over 1. And then we try to see how many times we can get 4. We can get 4 out of 4 one time. 4 out of 7, we get one time, and we have a remainder of 3. Then we have 32. 4 out of 32. How many times we can get 4 out of 32? That is 8 times. Right? And then we carry the zeros. So we are finished cancelling. Now we are going to multiply. And it's 3 times 1800. So it's 1800 or 1800 meter square multiplied by 3. 300. We put our meter square back. 300. 3 8s 24. We carry the 2. 3 1s 3. And 2 5. So the second farmer, Farmer Jones, would have gotten 5,400 meters square of the land. Now, there are activities, other activities that are on the slide. There, I am going to leave you to finish up, and there is one part that says, determine which animal the farmers would get. And that is from the PowerPoint. I want to also, in wrapping up, just say something quickly to the children who are viewing. You're at home in the holidays. And, well, it's not a holiday. You're at home because of the crisis that we're in. I also found it really interesting to know that in I think it was Deuteronomy, where Jacob promised God, right, where if you go to the PowerPoint, you'll see Jacob made a pledge to God that he will give him 1/10, 1 out of 10 of all that he earns or receive. And Leviticus tells us that we should make sure that we give 1/10 of what we earn back to the Lord. Children, guess what? You can do mathematics at home. While you're at home and you finish your chores at home, there are things that probably mommy or daddy would want to do. Do it for them, and they'll give you a little stipend, and then you try to work out that much that you should give back to the Lord in terms of tithe. And if you decide to give some offering, you can give and then try to work out from the fractions that we have looked at what portion you gave for offering, what portion you should give for tithe, and all of that. So, mathematics, for me, looking at what we have done and so many examples from the Bible, just reinforces the fact that education and redemption are one. I hope and trust that you will continue to work hard, that you will continue to study, and make sure you get involved into positive things whilst you are at home. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. One love.